was one of just 5 players in NBA history to have a losing record when he scores 50. He's also lost 8 straight 40-point games, one shy of the longest streak in NBA history. Celtics take it on the Heat. Remember, that was for a trip to the finals last season. Before the game, the teams issued a joint statement on why they played the game. There was some talk that they might not. 2021 is a new year, but some things have not changed. We played tonight's game with a heavy heart after yesterday's decision in Kenosha, and knowing that protesters in our nation's capital are treated differently by political leaders depending on what side of certain issues they're on. We've decided to play tonight's game to try to bring joy into people's lives, but we must not forget the injustices in our society, and we will continue to use our voices and our platform to highlight these issues and do everything we can to work for a more equal and just America. The statement concluded with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. All right, so let's get to the game. First meeting for them since the Eastern Conference Finals last season. No Kemba Walker or Marcus Smart for Boston. Both teams took a knee during the anthem. Both teams walked off the court before the game, but decided to go ahead with the matchup. Jason Tatum and the Celtics had it going from 3 early. Here's Tatum coming off the screen. Bam Adebayo leaves with too much space, and Tatum able to knock it down. Later in the first, Adebayo, too much space for Jaylen Brown, and he walked into a 3. Celtics 5 of 12 from three-point land in the first quarter. It's 41%. Celtics up 8 after 1. Midway through the third, Tatum starting to come alive for the Celtics. They're down 1. Tatum working on Kelly Olynyk, and gives the Celtics a 1-point lead. Under 4 to go. Celtics down 3. Tatum, this time from way out there. Tatum feeling it with 10 points in the third quarter. 22 points on 4 for 7 shooting from 3 through 3 quarters. Game tied at 80 heading into the fourth. Tatum still feeling it early in the fourth. Celtics up by 2. Adebayo couldn't get there. Celtics with a 5-point lead. But here come the Heat. They're down 7. 43 to go. Duncan Robinson open in the corner. Heat cut it to 105-102 after the free throw. Robinson was 16 points, shot 5 of 11 from three-point range. Next possession for the Heat. Goran Dragic misses his 3, but Adebayo there for the rebound. Kicks it to Dragic, who shows that persistence does indeed pay. Heat tied at 105. Marcus Smart drives. Misses, but Peyton Pritchard there to clean it up and give the Celtics a lead with 0.2 to go. Take another look at it. Pritchard there for the rebound. Put back game winner. Celtics win it 107-105. Tatum with 27, including 5 of 8 from three-point range and 5 rebounds. All right, so let's bring in Tim Legler now. Tim, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, either one of them can be the main man for the Celtics on any given night, but when they're both working together, especially down the stretch, hard to deal with. What'd you see from them?
Yeah, this is when they're so dangerous. You have 2 all-star forwards, and they're now capable of ending game stand by making whatever shot is required. Sometimes that might be get to the rim. Sometimes it might be mid-range. In this case, they took the three-point shot late. And this is the evolution of 2 players that neither of which was a consistent three-point shooter earlier in their career, but to be able to take these shots late in the game. And these are really the 3 dagger shots that closed this thing out and gave them separation at a critical time in the game. Brown gets one for himself, Tatum one for himself, and then they play catch on this next one. But then you also need Johnny on the spot, and that's exactly what Peyton Pritchard was. This guy's become a key part of their rotation, and I love this play because it shows his instincts to come from the left wing, get into the lane, and find that little pocket to get on the glass. I can think of very few players, particularly young players, that would not have just stayed on the wing waiting for that kick out and never made their way in to follow up that miss by Marcus Smart. Peyton Pritchard has been a great find for the Boston Celtics, particularly without Kemba Walker. He's getting a lot of those backup guard minutes, and he has been valuable for the Boston Celtics in a lot of their runs. And then tonight, the game winner because of his instincts and nose for the ball and making a really great play when his team needed it to make sure that that game didn't get to overtime.
All right, so this time it's the Celtics on top of the Heat. Tim, don't move because we're going to come back to you to talk about Clippers-Warriors in just a minute. In the meantime, though, Tatum and Brown not only doing it on the court, they've also been very outspoken off the court, speaking out on social justice issues, and they both had a lot to say on Wednesday.
Reminds me of what Dr. Martin Luther King has said, that there is 2 split different Americas. In one America, you get killed by sleeping in your car, selling cigarettes, or playing in your backyard. And in another America, you get to storm the Capitol and no tear gas, no massive arrests, no, none of that. So I think it's obvious. It's 2021. I don't think anything has changed. We want to still acknowledge that. We want to still push for the change that we're looking for. But as of yet, we have not seen it.
It's tough because, we're not surprised by what we see on TV. It's the world we live in. I just feel like, the same energy should be kept as, when, we see our people, peacefully protesting for, things that we see, our people getting, murdered on TV and live and videos. And, they're protesting in the Capitol or rioting the Capitol, for losing an election. It's two different things. And I want the same energy on TV, to be, they're thugs and criminals, the same terms that they use, when they see our people, protesting for losing our lives.
Lots more where that came from. Players around the league weighed in on the unrest in D.C. Wednesday. We got lots more of it coming up on SportsCenter. Clippers taking on the Warriors in San Francisco. Steph Curry, 92 points in his previous two games. Clippers coming off a loss to the Spurs on Tuesday. During the national anthem, both teams took knees together in solidarity in response to the events in D.C. Some players wore shirts with Black Lives Matter written across the front. Curry with a career-high 62 points on Sunday. Kawhi Leonard playing in back-to-back games for the first time since 2017. Just over a minute to go in the second. Warriors down 8. Kelly Oubre knocks it away and tomahawks at the other end. Very next possession, Draymond Green to James Wiseman, the rookie. Warriors pull within 4. Not a big night for Curry. Just 1 for 6 from three-point range and a season low 13 points. He shot 5 for 17, but doing Curry things there. Warriors finished the half on a 9-0 run, going to the break down 52-51. Under 6 minutes left in the third. Clippers up by 2. Here's Leonard. Fadeaway jumper working. Clippers back up 4. Less than a minute later. Clippers bench, not as potent as it was last season, but Lou Williams can still get it done off the pine. Clippers will go into the fourth up 6. This is the first time this season the Clippers had their full complement of players with everybody available. Early fourth quarter, Warriors down 2. Andrew Wiggins nailing the 3. The Warriors go back up by 1. And then some good ball movement leads to a Damian Lee 3. And the Warriors go up 3, and Curry loving it from the bench. A little over 6 minutes left to play. It's 91 apiece. Leonard, 21 points and 4 assists. Curry trying to get back into the game. Clippers with a 2-point lead. Under 4 minutes to go. Clippers by 3. Leonard draws the defense, kicks it out to Nicholas Batum. He puts the Clippers up 6, and then Leonard to Batum once again. And the Clippers do a good job on Curry and hold on to win it by 7. 108-101.
A couple games into the season at this point, Paul, how do you think you are building your chemistry with Kawhi Leonard?
I think, it's ongoing process. It's trust between myself and him. It's a pleasure being on that court with him. I enjoy this process with him. I think we're learning, we're figuring it out. Most importantly, we're growing together, and we're help leading this team together.
Paul George got out to a slow start offensively in this one, but he finished tied for a game-high 21 points despite all of his attempts being contested. On defense, George held down 7 different Warriors players, holding them to 1 for 9 shooting as a primary defender. Let's bring in Tim Legler once again. So, Tim, we know about Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, but a big part of what the Clippers were able to do last year in the past few years was that bench. No Montrezl Harrell now coming off the pine, but they still got some guys who can get it done. What's up with their role players?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different makeup stand with their supporting cast. These guys are more going to be spot-up shooters. And as great as those two stars are, their fortune is completely tied to how well their supporting cast can make timely threes. And that's really what ended this game. Golden State hung around. Their bench did a great job at the start of the fourth. But then this one's sort of a broken play three, but Patrick Beverley steps up, not afraid of the moment, knocks down a three. And then these were the absolute two daggers. First, Kawhi Leonard draws enough attention, obviously backing guys down in the paint. Nicholas Batum steps into a three, and then one more. And this is a really difficult shot. It's a great closeout right there by Draymond Green. He just can't quite get there in time, and Batum knocks it down. And also, at the start of that run, Stan, Luke Kennard also contributed with the three to really trigger that run. So when you look at the makeup of this team, you're not going to have guys like Lou Williams who can just go get it on their own to the extent that he could when he was playing alongside Montrezl Harrell. They had that combination out there. You're not going to have a guy like Harrell who could go clean up the glass and get you points that way. This supporting cast is going to be more guys that space the floor, wait on their moment, and then they've got to come through to take the pressure off of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And they did it in this one to help bail them out. So the Clippers get a win, a hard-fought win against Golden State, who was playing very well coming into this game.
Yeah, those same two teams do it again on Friday. We'll see how that one turns out. Tim, we appreciate the breakdown.
Stan.
All right, more Sports Center coming up from here in Washington, D.C., as both houses of Congress went on with the formality of counting the Electoral College votes that made Joe Biden the next president of the United States. But that was only after a day of rage in Washington. Rioters broke windows, pushed past police, and eventually breached the Capitol, something that hadn't happened since the War of 1812. The pro-Trump mob formed Wednesday morning and listened to speakers falsely claiming that November's election had been stolen before leaving to storm the Capitol. Sports figures have been speaking out about social justice and police brutality, and some of them addressed the events in D.C. as well.
When you saw the protests in the summer, and you saw the riots, or more the police and the National Guard and the Army, and then you see this and you saw nothing, it basically proves the point about a privileged life, in a lot of ways. I'll say it because I don't think a lot of people want to. Could you imagine today if those were all Black people storming the Capitol and what would have happened? So that to me is a picture that's worth 1,000 words for all of us to see, and probably something for us to reckon with again.
We see the two different USAs that we live in. It's sad. It truly is. It's sad. But all in all, we came to the conclusion, look, man, we're going to go hoop. We know what it is. You can't fool us. You're not fooling nobody else. But like I said, it's just sad, man. And everybody sees it. Everybody knows it now. Like, you can't say that you don't understand it.
It's very unfortunate, man, to see if those roles were reversed, if those were African Americans and Black people, it would be totally different, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's distressing to watch this go on in our country. I mean, protest is great, but somebody's dead now. The woman who was in critical condition got shot and died. We've had police officers have to be taken to the hospital. I've watched people breaking windows to break into the Capitol. I've watched an armed standoff at the door of the House floor. I mean, this stuff's not supposed to happen in our country.
This should not be allowed. It's unacceptable. It's America's capital. Should not be able to do what I saw on video. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. And should never happen.
I seen some of the things that they did, and if you really look at it in our reality, it kind of looks like a movie. Like you can't believe it. It don't look true. So I just wish the best and everybody can get out of there safely and we don't have no more problems.
Our sports world's a lot less important, obviously. But I've always thought if you operate with win-at-all-cost attitude, it's going to be a pretty unfulfilling ending. And in this situation, a disgraceful ending. And so I'm looking forward to 2 weeks from now.
A legitimate election is suddenly questioned by millions of people, including many of the people who are leading our country in government, because we've decided to, over the last few years, allow lies to be told. So this is who we are. This is, you reap what you sow.
Pistons taking on the Bucks, second of back-to-back games between those two. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 43 for the second-best record in the East, coming in at 5-2. First quarter, Rockets by 8. John Wall to DeMarcus Cousins, met at the rim by Domantas Sabonis. And Cousins is going to have to learn to live with rejection. Second quarter, Rockets down by 4. James Harden to David Nwaba. He will not be denied. Miles Turner, a little late with the rotation. Nwaba with 15, including 2 strong right there. Fourth quarter, Rockets down by 2. John Wall, he had 28. That ties it at 101. A couple of minutes later, Rockets down 1. James Harden, not a great shooting night, 5 for 14. Had 15 points, but the Rockets take a 1-point lead there. Pacers would answer, though. Malcolm Brogdon, career high 35. Everything was falling for him. Put the Pacers up 2. 43 seconds to go. Harden splits a double team, finds Nwaba, but this time Miles Turner's there. And he gets the block. Turner tied a career high with 8 blocks. Pacers going to win at 114 to 107. Zion Williamson and the Pelicans at home, hosting the Thunder. Hey, that's Steven Adams' old team. He came to play, pick it up in the fourth. Pelicans up 1. Lonzo Ball's 3 no good. Adams, first career triple-double. 10 points, 11 boards, 10 assists against his old team. Pelicans up 4 after the free throw. $1:25 to go. Thunder down 3. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, bucket and the foul. The free throw, it's 106 apiece. 21 for Gilgeous-Alexander. 37 seconds left, Pelicans down 1. Zion Williamson, game high 29 for him. New Orleans by 1. Next Thunder possession. Gilgeous-Alexander, no. Al Horford gets the rebound, kicks it back out. George Hill fouled on the way to the basket. Take another look. It looked like Lonzo Ball got all ball on that play. Stan Van Gundy would tend to agree after he saw the replay. So Hill to the line, made the first one. Here's the second one. Thunder back up 1, so timeout for the Pelicans. So who's going to take the shot? Well, Brandon Ingram's going to give it up to Nickeil Alexander-Walker for 3 in the win, but it's in and out. And that'll do it. Thunder hold on for the win. Brandon Ingram 24 in the loss. So for the second straight game, the Pelicans held a late lead only to go on to lose. Did you know? This first time in franchise history they've lost 2 straight games in which they held the lead in the final 15 seconds of regulation. Prior to the Pelicans, last team to do this, the Pistons in January 2018.
Curry blocked by Leonard. Step on the dribble, launching the 3. Butter. Wiseman with the high finish. Kawhi and 1. Lee, side pocket 3. Butter. George from deep. Nothing but net. The Los Angeles Clippers will take this one.
So the Clippers get the win, but that was only a part of the story on Wednesday as we welcome in Malika Andrews. Demonstrations all around the NBA, including on the West Coast Wednesday. Malika, you were at the game. What were the Warriors and Clippers players and coaches saying about what we saw in D.C.?
Well, just about a half hour before tip-off, I started to hear that Ty Lue and Steve Kerr were having conversations about what sort of demonstrations their teams would like to take part in, given what happened at the United States Capitol earlier today, or on the East Coast in the earlier hours of yesterday. And what ended up happening is both teams took the court and knelt during the national anthem. And then after the game, I asked Paul George, how was it preparing for this game, knowing everything else that is going on in the country right now? And he said that, you know what, it's hard. It's hard to focus in on basketball, even though they are professionals, even though they have a job to do, when this is what is going on in our country. He said that tuning that out, putting that aside, is challenging. And he said that, you know what, we still have work to do here. The NBA has a part in this, has a part in giving out their message, in telling people what they think is right, what they think that people should stand for, and standing up for what they think should be happening in our country. And that's where he said that he is going to choose to focus in all of this, is what the NBA can control and how the NBA can help people. We've heard players say today that they wanted to play. They played with heavy hearts, but wanted to give people joy, something to look forward to. And that was the message that I took away from listening to these guys in the Chase Center here today.
Yeah, I came to work looking for a distraction as well. I know you spoke to some other players around the league. What was the one message that stood out most?
Well, the thing that the sentiment that I kept hearing over and over again from players, from coaches, Doc Rivers said it so eloquently, was that players were wondering if these folks that showed up today to storm into the U.S. Capitol, why were they treated the way they were when Black Lives Matter protesters were treated differently? In some cases, in protests that they participated in, that NBA players participated in back in the spring, they couldn't help but notice the dichotomy between those two things. Doc Rivers said it so eloquently, just noticing the difference between the way white and black people, the way white and brown people in this country continue to be treated, particularly when it comes to protests, whether those protests are violent or not. That is the message that I kept hearing from NBA players that they were puzzling over and thinking about. And when you look towards Milwaukee, their message was multi-layered. Yes, they were thinking of what happened in the Capitol, but also what happened in Kenosha yesterday, where the police officers, the law enforcement officers involved in the shooting of Jacob Blake were not, we heard the DA said that they will not be facing any charges. The Bucks chose to kneel for 7 seconds on each side of the ball, representative of those 7 shots that were in Jacob Blake's back. And so there are layers to what is going on for players here today, Stan.
All right, Malika Andrews.